Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I don't know what it is about me. Is it just auras? Is it the way I present myself? Or is it just the way I look? You may be wondering why I'm asking these questions. Apparently, I, 38, male, am a magnet for Karens in the wild and at my place of work. Due to my life as a graveyard shift employee at a hotel, my mornings are usually spent shopping for supplies to keep my aging butt from going insane and hungry. The location: the Bullseye store in a Texas city. The date: 2 months ago. The numbers of Karens: 1 speaking, 6 observing. On this particular day, I had a typical night. Those who work in a hospitality business know we never use a Q word. No major issues. Everybody checks in with no hiccups. Essentially, any normal average night. In the morning, I decided to go to my local Bullseye store for supplies. Unfortunately, my usual wall of mart was out of the supplies I needed. As I entered the grocery section, I got my necessary items with hardly any issues. I then turned towards the men's clothes section to pick up some needed garments. While I was searching for the right size, I felt a jab in my shoulder. I turn and see a woman in her mid-50s, blonde hair, cross necklace, in mid-90s fashion. We will call her Karen, and I think, oh god, not again. "Excuse me, a man of your stature can help me in this place." "Ma'am, with all due respect, I don't work here." "Don't give me lip, boy. Just do what you're hired for and help me." I let out a very audible sigh, but then she grabs my shirt. "Be a good manager and help me." I noticed an old friend working in a jewelry section sit between me and the women's section. "Jules," I say. It's not her real name, by the way. "Hey Obi, what's going on?" Little did I know there were 6 other ladies behind Karen now, and they were all staring right at me. Almost as if they all want to talk to me and think that I'm a manager there. Why? My normal work shift is blue, but it was being washed and I had gone to work wearing a deep rib button-down shirt, darker than the usual Bullseye red, but a very noticeable different shade of red. I smiled at Jules and decided on a genius plan. Jules knows that I have a mischievous streak and plays along. I say, "Jules, can you help me with a demonstration?" "Huh? What do you mean? Just help me, you dumb manager," Karen yells. Jules says, "Ma'am, calm down. I'm sure he's got a reason." The group of Karens put their hands on their hips and carefully watch as I step next to Jules. I say, "Take a good look, ladies. I'm a man and Jules here is a woman." "That's obvious. Take a look at my shirt and compare it to hers," pointing at Jules' shirt. "This is a standard Bullseye uniform," pointing to my shirt. "This is not the standard Bullseye uniform, and this name tag clearly states a different business. What can we conclude from this demonstration?" Karen, now realizing, "You're a manager?" Jules tells her, "Nope, the man behind you is not the man in front you." All of the 7 Karens turned around and saw this incredibly well-built mountain of a manager, wearing the same color shirt as Jules. The manager says, "Are we going to have to repeat the incident again, ladies? Or have you already forgotten what happened last time?" Little did I know this isn't their first offense. The Karens then apologize to me for assuming that I'm an employee and quickly disperse. Jules says, "I think I may have to question my friendship with you, OP. I don't want the curse of the Karens to rub off on me." In fact, for context, this takes place in the Netherlands, which has a very different working culture and legislation than the US. Recently, I got a message from the HR that I still had a lot of holiday hours open, many of which would lapse as of July 1st. As a matter of law, I was aware of this, but in the past I was always able to sell them for money. In the COVID years, I've hardly been away for mostly obvious reasons, and I'm getting 32 days per annum. In other words, my vacation days have piled up and my current balance was a grand total of 390 hours, and that's excluding the new 32 days from 2023. So that's almost 10 weeks of holidays of these. I had to finish roughly 200 hours or 5 weeks before July 1st. Possible, of course, but hardly ideal. Not for my employer, our customer, or for myself, which is why I thought it wouldn't be a problem to sell these hours for extra salary, as I had done before. But I was quite wrong. HR told me to contact my manager who denied my request. I explained to him exactly how many days I had still open, and he'd asked the CEO, but the CEO sent me a message about how they care about work-life balance and mental health and so on. For the record, I fully agree with this stance in principle, and frankly, I think the measly amount of holidays people in the US get is shameful, and the culture in which it's sort of not done to actually take your holidays, I find outright toxic. I'm glad I'm working in a country or for an employer where this situation is much better. But on the other hand, one has to be practical. COVID was inflicted upon us all, and you can't compensate for a lack of holidays taken in the past, with taking copious amounts of holidays now or in the near future. I love to travel and to socialize, but we couldn't go anywhere or do much, and I didn't see the point in taking holidays just to sit home more. In fact, my work provided me with some much-needed structure during the lockdown times, and working from home meant that work was actually much more stress-free than it was in the office. So anyway, I brought up my situation and my reasoning, but it was all denied. I was just told it's good to take off some days and to go on holiday, and so on. Again, I'm not opposed to this at all, but the scale of the problem seemed to have just escaped the manager and the CEO. I had and have already planned on traveling for 2 weeks to Sicily and Greece if anyone's interested, maybe also mainland Italy again. But after that, I'd still have 3 weeks which I'd need to finish. I also have a long weekend planned to Iceland, but that only takes several paid holidays because of the weekend in the middle. It is then that I decided to start complying maliciously. Instead of trying to argue the point again with my CEO, I planned a meeting with my line manager and the account manager of the customer I'm working for. I told them I wanted/needed to take every Friday off, basically until July or my days would lapse. I didn't ask for permission because whilst paying out holidays is voluntarily, they need a very good excuse to deny leave requests, such as denying requests for key figures, last minute, when you're in the middle of a big project with deadlines and so on. But my request wasn't one of those, and obviously they are not allowed to deny a payout in my leave request anyway. It would be super hypocritical too. So as a good and diligent employee, I wanted to make sure that our customer was aware of my sustained de facto reduction in capacity. I wanted to discuss how we could best bring up this potentially touchy subject with them. After all, this structural reduction of capacity is different from a normal 2-week vacation or just some days off here and there, which is a pretty normal situation here, even for contractors, since they are a key account and I'm working for them as a senior DevOps/cloud engineer. I had anticipated to have a slightly awkward meeting with my manager and the account manager discussing the details, after which I already have expected they would U-turn at some point and decide to pay out my vacation days after all. But they exceeded expectations because when I entered the meeting, not a word was spoken about my 2 denied requests for converting my holidays, or about the framing I had given this meeting about how and who wanted the honor of telling the big customer they will be losing 20% of my capacity, and my employer would get to charge 20% less. Instead, the account manager just asked how many days I still had open, which we were easily able to see in the system. He then proposed to just pay out all my open holidays from 2022 and before, so 10 weeks instead of the requested 5. So the backlog would be cleared and this situation wouldn't occur again. Happy days! I have already received 2.5 months extra in salary and I still have all my 32 days from this year. So I have more than enough days for my holidays and for my general R&R, so my work-life balance is really not in danger. Managed to find an awesome house to rent after college with 2 other friends. One was my good buddy from undergrad, let's call him Ben, and the other was someone who I gotten to know through another close friend, and let's call her Crystal. Everything is all fine and actually great for quite some time. Lived our own lives, but had a great time hanging out together too. The perfect true mate situation. That is until Crystal started dating Pablo. Pablo was the ultimate deadbeat with a Napoleon complex. Just a little over a month into our lease, Pablo got evicted from his place and Crystal asked if he could stay for a short period while he looked for a new place. Being understanding and empathetic and trusting Crystal, we had no reason not to. We said sure, as long as it's temporary. Big mistake. Pablo lost his job. Pablo had been dishonorably discharged from the military. Pablo was an unsuccessful gambler. Pablo was a drunk. It was New Orleans, so it's not like any of us had a leg to stand on here, but he was a dangerous drunk. He would verbally abuse Crystal, waking up the whole household in the middle of the night with fights. He killed her pet fish by running it under scalding hot water. He would hurl racial slurs at my then boyfriend. He broke Ben's way. On numerous occasions, he left the front door wide open. Anyone who knows New Orleans knows this is a bad move, even in the safest areas. He left an empty pot on the stove with a burner on, and I came home to a house full of smoke, and he was really putting everyone's lives in danger. Ben and I decided to have a house meeting to discuss our concerns with her, and knowing that sometimes emotions can flare, we came with a written agenda as to just stick to the facts. Yet Crystal defended him and offered no solution to when he would be leaving and finding his own place. Spoiler, he never would. Really, rubbing salt in the wound, Pablo had gambled much of their money and Crystal was having trouble making rent 1 month. She asked if she could borrow it and pay me back next paycheck. Again, being a trusting empath and feeling like we had no other choice, I did. I was furious to find out that the two of them had left for a long weekend at a casino resort in Mississippi before having paid me back. Well, now for the petty revenge. I had been working 2 full-time jobs. I saved like crazy and it was 2008 and housing prices had dipped. I decided to buy my own home. Ben knew all about this, so did my landlady. I was planning to be my roommate in a new house, but I never mentioned a single word to Crystal. I found a great place, made an offer and closed a little thereafter. It just so happened that the day I closed on the house, when we were already planning to move and just get the hell out of Dodge, Crystal and Pablo took one of their famous casino getaways. We got around 15 to 20 of our close friends, one of whom had an enormous truck and a giant flatbed. Of course, someone did. It was Louisiana. Many hands make light work, and within a few short hours the entire house other than their room was cleared out. Oh, did I mention all the furniture, all the kitchen stuff? Everything in the common rooms belonged to either me or Ben. Crystal and Pablo returned home at the end of a full day of gambling, only to find a completely empty house, except for their room. We told him we had switched the utilities that were under my name to the new house. We had informed the landlady and paid out our share of the remainder of the lease. The looks on their faces was priceless. We left and never saw them again. Hallelujah. This happened 10 years ago and all the names have been changed. My name for this story is Larissa, not my real name of course. I used to work for a money exchange company with a front store and office in the heart of the city center. The store had 4 stories and we would often host training sessions there. Because of this, we had company branded mugs and us in-store staff had our own mugs. I noticed that people would use my personal mug despite the amount of company mugs available. I don't like sharing my mug with people, but I will with people I'm close with. I do not with those I do not know. I don't know their hygiene levels and it stresses my inner germaphobe out. I remember seeing a visiting member of staff drinking from my cup once. They just shrugged and said it was clean and there, so they used it. Rude, but okay. I moaned about it to my gorgeous, caring friend who for my birthday made me a one-of-a-kind mug especially for me. She probably got tired of me whining about it. I bring my new mug into work and return my other generic one back home. There is no way anyone could mistake this as available for public use, right? Wrong. Hugh Tom, not the real name. He was a blonde, cocky SOP who had to be the loudest in the room and was such an attention seeker. Those big buckle types always talking about how detail-oriented he was, blah blah blah. I came into the staff room one day and found out they were visiting. When I left, he was rifling through the cupboards. At this point, we had moved all the in-house staff mugs to a separate cupboard to avoid issues, as this has caused friction before. There were about 30 company-branded ones, so no reason for anyone to use personal mugs. I returned and noticed he had once again used my mug. The staff room was quieter but still busy, maybe 10 people or so including Tom and I. The awkward interaction was as follows. I say, hey, are all the company mugs being used? Tom says no. Okay, so why are you using one of the personal mugs? Well, it was the first mug I grabbed. This was most likely a lie, but I can prove it. I tell him, use one of the company mugs. Those are ours for our personal use. We brought them from home. These are company cupboards, so I don't see what the issue is. I came in and I grabbed the mug. Okay, but we have company logo mugs for a reason. Use one of those and put that one back. At this point, I was pissed. Tom, with a cocky grin on his face, takes a sip from my mug and says, I don't know what your issue is. It's not like the mug has your name on it. Actually, I think you will find it does. And I point at the mug. Tom, clearly baffled, what do you mean? It literally has my name on it, look. I point at the mug and in huge red lettering it says Larissa. This is where it got very interesting. One of my colleagues started laughing. They know why I got that mug, because it had happened to me so many times before. Hence my name on it. His face went red, like tomato red, and you could see him sweating from embarrassment. Serves him right for trying to be a condescending SOP. I say, not sure how you missed it, considering you are so detail-oriented. The writing is huge and in red. Please pour your drink into another mug. I would like a cup of tea. I want to use my mug. I have never seen anyone pour a drink and hightail it out of somewhere so fast. What made it worse is that afterwards everyone in the company somehow found out and people started making jokes about hiding their stuff. They did this because he would do this everywhere he went. Drink from someone's mug on purpose and claim it was an accident. I only found this out afterwards when news of the incident made the rounds. Fact is, his cockiness made me want to expose him and also made him look like an idiot. Going forward, he only ever drank from company logos mugs, but someone always reminded him of the incident. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.